Andrea there smiling. Hey, Andrea, hope you're loving this beautiful sun in St. George. Hey, guys, it's great to be with you today. Hope you enjoyed that time in your journal. Well done for being on the phone call today. I'm excited to be here as well. So a couple of important things that I want to go through. Number one, we have Russ Orchard on the schedule tomorrow for Morning Ascent, so you do not want to miss that. Number two, we've got Jason Carlson on Friday, incredible speaker as well. So make sure you're participating in Morning Ascent in the next couple of days. So my message today, some of what I want to dive into just kind of at a smaller level, but look, the assumption would be, right, that you're going to be getting off of this call to go and hit the day hard. Get going on your work, your prospecting, your following up, all of that good stuff. And the last few days, Monday and Tuesday, I guess today's Wednesday. So Monday and Tuesday, I've been able to sit with a group of agents on 3 different occasions, 3 different groups to make some phone calls and some prospecting together. And today, I really want to dive in briefly as sort of a reminder of like, what are your objectives on these phone calls? Because I know you're going to be hanging up the phone here and picking up the phone and calling someone else. So just a couple quick thoughts that I want to throw out to you that I think can be so beneficial. And look, to me, they are motivating. They're a great reminder of what I need to be doing and spending my time doing. So if you have a pen and a paper, you want to write these down. If you don't, this will be sent out later and you can watch it. But what are the objectives of your phone calls you're about to make? And so get pen and paper out. Number 1 objective. Look, I love starting with this one because it's key. Your objective is to set an appointment. That's the number 1 reason you're on that phone call. It's the number 1 purpose of getting on. Your focus is to set an appointment. In fact, oftentimes throughout my career, I've had times where I've said, okay, every day I'm going to talk to 10 people, 20 people, 50 people. Or, you know what, this week my goal is just even in the 12 steps to the summit of success, 30 people per day, 150 per week, right? One interesting thing I've noticed is that where your focus goes, that's where you go. And if you can focus on setting appointments as your daily minimum standard, that's what I talked about last time here. Your minimum standard is to set 1 appointment each day. You know, in a way, it changed my career when George told me, 14 years ago, something to the effect of, it's almost as though it's not a day of work if you haven't set an appointment. You didn't show up to work that day. So set an appointment. That's the number 1 objective. Why is it so critical to focus on that? Like if it were me and I was a full-time agent right now, prospecting daily, I would have these things kind of taped on or glued near my computer so that I was remembering when I was on a call, I'm trying to set an appointment. Because if you're like me, you have gotten into these phone calls and you have missed out on what your focus is or forgotten what your focus is, and you started focusing on other stuff, which took you off track from the main objective, which is to set an appointment. You know, if we were in a group right now, I'd love to ask the question, have you ever been on a call where you could have set an appointment, but you didn't because of the route you chose to take and you lost focus of the purpose, right? Some of that can be the fact that people only have kind of a short window that they're willing to give you, and you've got to get to the punch as fast as you can. So number 1 is to set an appointment. Well, now we start to go down, well, how do you set an appointment? What is the objective? How do you accomplish that? Item number 2, understand their needs, their wants, and their motivation. What you're trying to discover on this phone call is, what does this person want? Why are they wanting to be involved in a real estate transaction? If it's a FSBO or an expired, right? Or someone on a website, what do they want? If you're calling up to just listed, just sold, or cold calls, you know, are you interested in? When will you be interested in, right? You're trying to understand what the objective is. My experience has been, the better you understand what they want, the more likely you will be able to get involved in that transaction. People love to talk about the goal, the dream, what's happening. People love to be listened to, and then they love to get some solutions put in place in a game plan. So Again, make sure you're understanding their needs, their wants, their motivation. Item number 3, I wrote down pre-qualify. One of the objectives that you should have is to pre-qualify this person. We've talked about this a lot. How do you pre-qualify someone? What are you qualifying them for? You're qualifying them as a good investment for your asset, your time. How much do you value your time? I love the statement that your ability and your willingness to pre-qualify someone is a direct reflection on how you value your time. Think about that for a second. It's my favorite thing. And I'll spin it a little bit too. I always like to do that. Your ability or inability and your willingness or your unwillingness to pre-qualify people is a direct reflection on how you value your time. Try to argue me on that, right? It's impossible because it's absolutely the truth. Now, we could dive deep, deep, deep into what this looks like, but essentially what you need, what you're trying to discover here, if it's a buyer or a seller, is, do I have a realistic opportunity of earning this person's business? Now, that's not a lot to ask for, is it? In fact, you might even consider asking that question to the seller or buyer you're on the phone with. I want to understand if I have a realistic chance of earning your business. That's where you might have questions like, if we meet up and you like what I have to say, it's safe to assume that you'll be signing an agreement with me to get your home listed. Is that fair to say? Or, hey, when we meet up tonight, if you like what I have to say and my approach to home buying, I'll be bringing with me a document that allows me to spend my time and energy showing you homes, et cetera, buyer, broker. You guys know the drill, right? The point is, you want to get people committed, right? This is 3 and 4. 3 is pre-qualify. 4 is getting them committed to sign. So you're pre-qualifying people for your time. Think about a bank. They qualify someone. They get information from someone in order to see if they are a good investment for their asset, cash. As a professional, we must qualify people, ask the questions, understand their motivation, and all of that good stuff to know if they are a good investment for your asset, your time. And then you move to 4, the commitment to sign, right? When you know and believe you have a realistic chance of earning their business, one of the key elements is figuring out and getting them setting the expectation as well. You'll have something for them to sign, and you want to know if they're willing to sign that. And that's such a phenomenal question. You want to get them to commit. Look, I've had people that I've shown up to their home for listing appointments. Early in my career, this is one I fixed really fast. They had no clue, even that I wanted to list their home. I mean, I remember once going with some agents out to a listing appointment. I knew what this was in advance, and I was trying to sort of, I don't know if teach them a lesson is the right word, but I'd been talking to them about pre-qualifying and setting a better expectation for their, it's actually funny. You guys know these guys, Cody Watts and Mark Robinson. This was early on in their career. We were talking about pre-qualifying, only going on qualified appointments. We went out to the house, had the appointment, visited. I mean, guys, it was a 45-minute drive, an hour at the house, 45 minutes back. And then we discovered in 40 minutes of visiting with the person that, yeah, they have a sister that's a real estate agent. They would never have signed. I mean, it was just one of those goofy moments where you go, I need to pre-qualify. So critical spot. And these guys, it was a great lesson that day. So number 1, you're setting an appointment. Number 2, you're understanding their needs, their wants, their motivation. Number 3, you're pre-qualifying them. Number 4, you're getting the commitment to sign. At least you're asking for it too. That's what's essential, part of the whole process for you. Number 5, you want to separate yourself from your competition. Okay? Boy, we could spend a whole hour just discussing this. But I would challenge you right now, what if you wrote down in your journal that you have out the question, what do I do to separate myself from my competition? Could you spend 10 or 15 minutes answering that question this morning? What if you wrote down a question like, why should someone choose me over a different agent? It's critical that you understand and know first what it is that separates you from your competition. And when you understand that, great things happen in your business. I guarantee it. So that's number 5, separate yourself from your competition. These are the objectives that you have on a phone call. I'm bringing this up again because I've been on the call with a ton of agents recently, making phone calls and doing some really good role playing and prospecting. And this is an essential area where I think we could use some help. So number 5, separate yourself from the competition. Number 6, set an expectation for future communication. What expectation are you setting with them? And this is where one of my favorite topics come up, which is the topic of assuming the sale. Don't ask them when it's okay to call back and figure out, hey, is it okay if I call you in the future to see how things are going? Hey, would you mind if, hey, can I call you another time? My experience has been that if you'll simply assume the sale and say, whatever the results of the call are, well, I'll give you a call back in a few days to follow up and see how things are going. Hey, I'll touch base down the road to keep you in the loop on what's happening with the market conditions and see if there's anything we can do to help you. Look, anything like that, but you're not asking for permission. You are, but you're telling, which is, I'm going to be reaching out to you in the future. The thing I love about that is because most 99% of people are totally fine with it, and they'll love to hear from you, and you set new expectation and you're creating a relationship, right? Number 2, you're separating yourself from your competition just by doing that, by setting the expectation that you're going to call. And then when you do call back, as sometimes people can be, most agents are so worried about how will they feel about me calling them back? Am I going to offend them? Will they be bothered with me? I don't want to be bothered by other people, so I don't want to bother other people. When you have set the expectation with someone that you're going to be reaching back out, you feel better about it. You're more committed to making that call, and you're more comfortable doing it. So set the expectation for future communication. And finally, number 7, close. Your objective on the call is to close. That means different things on different calls. Some of these items are kind of intermingled, but look, one of your objectives is to close. Get them to say yes throughout the call. Get them to agree with you. Yesterday, one of the prospecting sessions I was doing, we had an individual that was kind of tricky to talk to. They weren't, and I just was finding opportunities to get them to continue to agree and say yes. So, hey, where do you want to live? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, well, do you have any idea of how many bedrooms, baths, all that? No, really don't know. I'm just looking. That's kind of the idea of what we were after. So I kind of switched it a little bit and started talking in other terms like, well, I'm assuming with the great interest rates right now and the incredible market conditions, you'd like to take advantage of that, right? What's he saying? Yeah, right, I do. Look, for me, getting someone to agree with me, getting them to say yes, that's kind of a mini close in my conversation. And they say if you can get people to close, I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 times in a conversation, that you're going to be able to get, that you're more likely to get the other yes from them. So the big yes, which is ink on a paper. So guys, those are the 7 objectives. I'm always updating and changing this list, but in my view, the 7 objectives that you should be focused on a phone call, on a prospecting call. Let me just repeat them through really quickly. Number 1, to set an appointment. Number 2, understand their needs, their wants. What's their motivation? Number 3, pre-qualify. And that goes for just your qualification, plus just kind of in parentheses, I wrote down lender. If you're working with a buyer, you want to know that they can qualify with a lender as well in order to qualify for your time. 4, commitment to sign. Kind of the mini close there. If we meet, if you like what I have to say. When we meet, when you like what I have to say, well, will you be, assuming you're going to sign this agreement, you're willing to sign, all that good stuff, right? You're getting a commitment to sign. 5, separate yourself from the competition. 6, expectation, setting the expectation for future communication. And 7, the close. So guys, look, big, important stuff we're talking about. It's very critical that when you're on these calls today, that you're absolutely focused on what your objectives are. And I promise that as you're focused on setting an appointment today, you're going to have a higher likelihood of setting that appointment. Guys, I wish we were in a room right now. There's so much great stuff to talk about. But boy, I know you're going to be hanging up this call and you're going to be jumping on other calls. So make sure you're focused on setting the appointment, focused on those call objectives, keep them top of mind, and watch your prospecting session be amazing. Guys, I hope you all have a phenomenal day today. We're going to close up with